Honor is her not exactly fitting the fast paced. I mean, I don't know. You can never really know until you try out with the team, but that's just kind of how I see it. And she has been recording career lows with the Indiana Fever. She's averaging 7.1 points per game. She's averaging 21 minutes per game. And again, like I said, these are career lows. And nobody likes to average career lows. Now, Bonner's agent, I guess his name is Mike Kund, was reached out to by Front Office Sports. He was not willing to comment on the situation.
Recent developments in the WNBA have sparked significant debate regarding player conduct and enforcement actions during games. The controversy centers around comments made by former WNBA star Cheryl Swoops regarding Sophie Cunningham's actions during a Connecticut Sun vs. Indiana Fever matchup. The incident in question occurred when Cunningham made physical contact with Sun guard DeWanna Carrington late in the fourth quarter, an action that many interpreted as retaliation for earlier contact involving Caitlin Clark. This sequence of events has generated polarizing reactions throughout the basketball community, with opinions divided on whether such enforcement actions are appropriate or excessive.
Kids, and then also being a husband as well, my family is everything. So I understand family, I get it. But let's just be honest here, okay? We have to be completely honest. This feels a little like a cop-out. Out of all the times you could post about you and your kids, you choose to post mid-game of an Indiana Fever game. Not only that, but
the situation highlights ongoing concerns about officiating consistency and player protection in the league. Critics argue that referees failed to maintain proper control during the game, allowing escalating physical play to continue unchecked. This perceived lack of intervention created conditions where players felt compelled to take matters into their own hands rather than relying on official enforcement of rules. Sports Illustrated's coverage of the incident noted the divisive nature of the play, with some observers praising Cunningham for defending her teammate, while others criticized what they viewed as excessive retaliation that could have resulted in injury. The debate reflects broader questions about the appropriate level of physical play and teammate protection in professional women's basketball.
Situation, but this opens up a lot for the Indiana Fever, as well as them having to scramble for what they're going to do next, because as I'm sure many of you know, Demiris Dantas, who is she is part of the front court of the Indiana Fever. She will be gone from the team after tonight's game against the Seattle Storm. She is heading over to AmeriCup to play for, I think, the next 5 games that the Fever have. So they will be dangerously thin in the front court. So I'm assuming that the Indiana Fever.
Swoops addressed the controversy during her June 24th appearance on the Women's Hoop Show, offering her perspective on the incident. She acknowledged that referees had allowed excessive contact throughout the game, but maintained that Cunningham's response crossed the line from acceptable physicality into inappropriate territory. According to Swoops, the distinction between physical play and unsportsmanlike conduct is crucial in evaluating such incidents. She characterized Cunningham's action as deliberate and unnecessary, arguing that it represented a departure from basketball-related contact into something more concerning. The former player emphasized that the contact appeared intentional rather than incidental to any basketball movement.
This is the first time we're hearing anything from you since the time you decided to sit out, right? And I think at some point, not saying you owe anything, but I think you should want to give to your fan base an explanation, right? The ones that embrace you, the ones that love you, the ones that want to see you play. I think they do.
The commentary also touched on the broader context of Cunningham's role with the Indiana Fever organization. Some observers have suggested that the team specifically acquired Cunningham to serve as a physical presence and protector for their star players. This perspective frames her actions as fulfilling an expected organizational role rather than representing individual misconduct. However, Swoops questioned this interpretation, asking what exactly was being enforced in that particular moment. This challenge to the enforcement narrative suggests skepticism about whether the situation truly warranted such intervention, particularly given the timing and nature of the contact. The controversy has revealed underlying tensions about player protection standards and the appropriate response to perceived officiating inadequacies. Historical precedents in other professional sports leagues show similar dynamics, where teammates have taken enforcement roles when feeling that officials have failed to protect star players adequately.
Fever, already knowing this, have been scrambling for what they're going to do. And while it does seem like, oh, let's bring in Ari McDonald does not solve the problem that has arisen in the front court depth for the Indiana Fever. The Fever are now down a big. Think about the bigs that are left. Natasha Howard, Bree Turner, and Michaela Timpson. And of course, Aaliyah Boston. But Aaliyah Boston's a given. She is the powerhouse of the front court. But
the debate extends beyond the specific incident to encompass broader questions about league culture and acceptable conduct boundaries. Different stakeholders have varying perspectives on where these lines should be drawn and how violations should be addressed, both by officials and by players themselves. Some observers have noted apparent inconsistencies in how similar incidents are evaluated and discussed, suggesting that external factors may influence public perception and commentary. These concerns reflect broader conversations about fairness and consistency in how player actions are assessed and criticized within the league. The timing of the incident, occurring near the end of a competitive game, has added another layer to the discussion. Late-game situations often involve heightened emotions and increased physical play, factors that can influence both player behavior and subsequent evaluation of that behavior.
Deserve an explanation. You were supposed to be the leader of this team. Caitlin Clark spoke highly of you every time and made it seem like you were the loudest voice of the Indiana Fever. And you just blew it off. You blew it off. Yeah, I don't know what type of example you think you're setting doing this, but it just doesn't look good. It doesn't look good, man. It's not a good example that you're setting, honestly, in my opinion.
League officials have faced criticism for their handling of the situation, both during the game and in subsequent reviews. The apparent delay in addressing certain aspects of the incident has contributed to ongoing frustration among various stakeholders, including players, coaches, and supporters. The incident has also highlighted the challenges faced by officials in maintaining game control while allowing appropriate levels of competitive physicality. This balance becomes particularly complex when star players are involved and when emotions are running high during crucial moments of game. Medical considerations have also entered the discussion, with questions raised about potential injury risks associated with the type of contact that occurred. These concerns extend beyond the immediate incident to encompass broader player safety protocols and prevention strategies.
But, I think it's hard to rely on a Bree Turner, and Michaela Timpson is a rookie. I would love to see her on the court, but she isn't necessarily a player that has been proven reliable just yet. Again, still want to see her on the court. But because DeWanna Bonner's contract was $200,000, that would be probably, I would assume, prorated. We are about 1/3 into the season, so there is about 2/3 of $200,000.
The controversy reflects ongoing evolution in professional women's basketball culture as the league continues to grow in popularity and scrutiny. Higher profile games and increased media attention naturally lead to more detailed analysis of player conduct and officiating decisions. Different generations of players and commentators may have varying perspectives on appropriate conduct standards, influenced by their own playing experiences and the context in which they competed. These generational differences can contribute to disagreements about what constitutes acceptable behavior in contemporary games. The situation demonstrates the complex dynamics that can emerge when multiple factors converge. Officiating inconsistencies, star player protection, team roles and expectations, and public scrutiny. Each element contributes to the overall controversy and the various perspectives that have emerged.
It's not even trying to be harsh. I'm just being completely honest. Yeah, I know I come from a place of love every time. And I have to say, man, this looks off. All right, this looks off. This is not acceptable, man. You're getting paid $200,000. And the fact that you're just sitting out, doing what you want to do, you signed a contract.
Moving forward, the incident may influence how similar situations are handled by officials, players, and league administrators. The discussion it has generated could contribute to clarification of conduct expectations and enforcement procedures for future games. The broader implications extend to questions about league culture, player safety protocols, and the appropriate balance between competitive intensity and sportsmanship. These considerations will likely continue to evolve as the league uses and develops its identity in the professional sports landscape.
Left, which is 133K added to the cap space for the Indiana Fever. They also have some cap space left. When they initially signed Arie McDonald, they had 43K, but Arie's hardship contract ate into that a little bit. So let's just round that off to about 36K. So they now have about 169K to play with if they go down DeWanna Bonner. But if they do go down DeWanna Bonner, that would mean that the team...
The Indiana Fever organization faces a significant roster challenge as reports emerge regarding DeWanna Bonner's situation with the franchise. Multiple developments have created both immediate concerns and longer-term implications for the team's composition and competitive prospects. During a recent matchup between the Indiana Fever and Seattle Storm, Bonner made a social media post featuring images with her children, accompanied by a simple message expressing her affection for them. The timing of this post occurring during active gameplay has generated considerable discussion about its underlying meaning and potential implications. The post represents the first public communication from Bonner since her absence from team activities began, leading to speculation about her motivations and future intentions. Critics have suggested that the timing appears deliberately provocative, particularly given the lack of previous explanation for her continued absence from games and team functions.
Same way I talk about the refs is the same way I'm talking about DeWanna Bonner right now. You sign a contract, you know what is due of you. You have to fill in those obligations, right? And the fact that, it seems like nothing is wrong with your babies. It seems like nothing is wrong with you. It's just really disappointing to see you sitting out. And looking at the responses in this post, you have...
Questions have emerged regarding professional obligations and contract fulfillment, as Bonner's current agreement with the franchise carries significant financial value. Her $200,000 salary represents a substantial investment by the organization, creating expectations for availability and participation that have not been met in recent weeks. The situation has highlighted broader questions about player accountability and communication with supporters who have invested emotionally in the team's success. Many observers believe that veteran players, particularly those in leadership roles, have responsibilities to provide explanations when circumstances prevent their participation.
Has 9 players after Demiris Dantas goes over to AmeriCup. I hope you're still following me here. But in this 5-game stretch, or however many games Demiris Dantas is going to be out, the Indiana Fever will be dangerously low on roster players that they have to go out on the court with. To qualify for a hardship contract, all you need to have is less than 10 players available to head out to the court. So the Indiana Fever will have that.
Caitlin Clark had previously spoken positively about Bonner's leadership qualities and vocal presence within the team structure, making her absence more notable given these expressed expectations. The contrast between these characterizations and current circumstances has contributed to confusion and disappointment among various stakeholders. League insiders have now provided additional context regarding Bonner's intentions, indicating through reports to Front Office Sports that she has no interest in continuing with the Indiana Fever organization. Instead, her preferred destinations are reportedly the Phoenix Mercury or Atlanta Dream, suggesting a deliberate desire to relocate rather than address current circumstances.
Different responses. Some people saying, hey, we loved you. Thank you for everything you've done for the WNBA. Hope everything is good. And then you also have the ones that's saying, we're disappointed in you. We still love you, but this is disappointing. This doesn't look good. The same way I'm feeling. And then you have the people that are coming out and just blatantly saying, hey, this is disgraceful, this is pathetic, you're stealing money from the Indiana Fever.
The Phoenix Mercury connection appears logical given that her partner, Alyssa Thomas, plays for that organization. However, questions remain about the stylistic fit, as the Mercury operates with a faster-paced offensive approach that may not align perfectly with Bonner's current skill set and recent performance levels. Statistics from the current season show Bonner experiencing career-low production, averaging 7.1 points in 21 minutes per game. These reduced numbers may reflect various factors, including role changes, system adjustments, or personal circumstances affecting her preparation and performance.
Depending on when and if what they decide to do with DeWanna Bonner, I would assume that they're going to be looking for a trade. They could also cut her because DeWanna Bonner is on an unprotected contract. So a lot of this depends on what the actual next steps are for the Indiana Fever and DeWanna Bonner. According to Front Office Sports, they're saying that a trade is unlikely because the Phoenix Mercury only have $88,000 in cap space.
The timing of these developments creates additional complications for the Fever as they simultaneously face the departure of Tara McCowan, who will be unavailable for approximately 5 games due to overseas commitments. This combination of absences creates dangerous depth issues in the front court rotation. Current front court options include Aaliyah Boston, Natasha Howard, Melissa Smith, and rookie Damaris Dantas. While Boston remains a reliable cornerstone, the supporting cast presents questions about experience and consistency, particularly for extended periods without veteran presence. Financial implications of Bonner's potential departure include the recovery of approximately $33,000 in remaining salary cap space, calculated as roughly 2/3 of her annual contract value. Combined with existing cap room, this could provide around $169,000 in available resources for roster additions.
You have all type of responses within this, but the way that I'm feeling, man, it's a disappointment. Right? It's a disappointment. You know, if you felt like you weren't going to be all in, and that's what it seems like, because if you're sitting out because Lexi is starting over you, that means you weren't all in. And if you felt like you wasn't going to be all in, I wouldn't even wasted the Indiana Fever's time, man. I would just went to the Mercury.
However, roster construction challenges extend beyond financial considerations. The team would drop to 9 available players during McCowan's absence, potentially qualifying for hardship contract provisions that require fewer than 10 healthy players on the active roster. Trade possibilities appear limited due to salary cap constraints at Bonner's preferred destinations. The Phoenix Mercury has approximately $88,000 in available space, while the Atlanta Dream has only $23,000, making direct trades challenging without additional salary considerations.
And the Dream only have $23,000 in cap space. So there's no way that the Dream would be able to sign DeWanna Bonner to a veteran minimum because a veteran minimum is $78,000. Now, I guess the Mercury could do it, and they could organize some sort of trade with the Indiana Fever. I'm assuming it would be DeWanna Bonner plus another player or a draft pick or something of the sort. Front Office Sports thinks this is very unlikely because players that are comparable to Bonner's salary are.
A waiver scenario could allow Bonner to become an unrestricted free agent after a 48-hour waiting period, potentially enabling her to sign with preferred destinations at veteran minimum salary levels. This would represent a significant financial sacrifice, reducing her remaining season earnings to approximately $52,000. Potential trade targets for the Fever include players who could address front court depth needs while fitting within available salary parameters. European players represent another option, though their willingness to join mid-season and adapt to WNBA systems presents additional variables.
Mercury, like I knew you was going to do from the jump. I said you was going to the Mercury with Alyssa Thomas. I didn't think you were going to come to the Indiana Fever, but this doesn't feel like a genuine post, in my opinion. This doesn't feel like a genuine post. This feels like a clap back, like a slap in the face of the Indiana Fever. This feels like a, yeah, I'm happy regardless of what's going on. Y'all can do whatever over there. I'm still
The Mercury's roster includes players like Sammy Whitcomb, whose $125,000 contract and three-point shooting ability could theoretically interest Indiana. However, Phoenix's competitive position likely makes them reluctant to surrender productive players for a potentially disgruntled veteran. Atlanta's limited cap space severely restricts their ability to facilitate trades involving players of comparable salary levels. Most dream players who might interest Indiana are either on protected contracts or represent essential components of their rotation. When approached for comment, Alyssa Thomas declined to discuss the situation, maintaining professional discretion despite her personal relationship with Bonner. This restraint has been noted as contrasting with Thomas's continued high-level performance and apparent team engagement.